Welcome back, streamers. You are listening to the 54th episode of The Bloodstream, and I am your host, Jason Gray. I know I took another one of my patented long breaks, but I am back, and I didn't want October to pass by completely without doing something. God's and my own motivation willing, I do plan to get out a few episodes this month. That is the plan, anyway. Now, you've noticed already a few things are off if you're a longtime listener of The Bloodstream. First of all, yes, the music at the beginning is back to being the truncated version of Baba Yaga by Kevin MacLeod, because with Google Podcasts going away, they gave us the option to put the shows on YouTube, which I took advantage of. I noticed that having Don't Pay the Ferryman as the opening music was giving me some copyright things keeping me from monetization. I highly doubt this show will ever be popular enough to be monetized. However, if I can increase the chance of that happening, why not do it if I already have the assets? Go ahead and do it. I don't know what the end music is going to be now as I'm recording this. It'll probably be Baba Yaga again for this episode, and I'll see if I can figure something out later. Along with that, if you are a Patreon user, whether it be creator or content devourer, you have probably become aware that Patreon is changing how they handle things, and they are ending the per episode, per post payment system they had going on. And now everything is going to be a monthly subscription, which is not something I'm all that into because, as has been evidenced, I have a tendency not to post on anything resembling a regular schedule, which makes me lax to ask for a monthly fee if I know I'm going to fall behind and not post anything for 6 months. That's not right. That said, I'm going to try to keep going forward with a subscription fee and try to get more episodes out more regularly. And that being said, I don't really see where else to go at this point in time, so I'm going to try to be more regular with more episodes. And the good news is, I'm not going to raise the price. Instead of being $2 per episode, it's going to be $2 a month. At least right now. I might fudge that a little bit if I get in a groove of regular episodes. Like, I don't know. We'll burn that bridge when we come to it. But for now, that's the way things are shaping up with Patreon. And my entire end speech has now been hosed, so thanks for that. With all that out of the way, let's get down to what this episode is going to be about. And if I'm being quite honest, I am spoiled with choices. Because if you know me, you know I am constantly finding cinematic masterpieces that are potential fodder for this show. I have forgotten more movies that I would like to talk about than I would care to admit. Anyway, this week, it is a no-budget, shot-on-video flick straight out of Canada that is an homage to the anthology found footage VHS series called Cassette. Do you get it? Surprisingly, I actually found a trailer for this movie. And by found, I mean, oh hey, there it is right next to the movie on the guy's YouTube page. So, here we go.
So, what are we doing again? I'm just gonna watch some tapes I found.
Take a seat right here, or whichever one you want in.
There's literally somebody behind you.
So, just like the VHS series of movies, this is an anthology, and it's found footage, and it begins by setting up its wraparound story, which is very similar to the, I think it was the first one that did this specifically, but this one is still kind of doing its own take on the idea of, whereas the VHS movie had some people sneaking into a house and finding a pile of videotapes that would become the stories that we would be watching, Cassette, on the other hand, has someone bringing a friend over to watch some movies, and while they're taking care of some stuff, tells them to go ahead and just put some tapes in to kill some time. Now, it's been a good number of years since I saw the VHS movie, so if I munged up some of the details there, don't kill me too much. I remember the gist of it, obviously. So while the guy who brought his friend over goes into the kitchen to get some drinks, like I said, he tells his buddy to just pop in a videotape and check things out. This will be the format of the movie, with each short story being one of the tapes the guy is watching along with us. While the friend is going through the pile of videotapes on the floor, the host keeps going, "Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one too. Oh, that's a really good one," every single time his friend reaches for a tape. And streamers, let me tell you, all of these tapes have no labels on them, no writing whatsoever. So my question is, how does he know which tape is which? Because they are all indistinguishable black rectangles as far as I can tell. The first tape is something that was recorded by a musician's girlfriend. Their names are Joey and Scarlett. And just as a quick aside, knowing a guy who can actually play music and will do it randomly during his bit of the movie, with the bonus detail that he's actually a pretty good musician, brings a lot of production values to at least this particular short story. But after we get some quick intros with the characters, we get to the actual story. When they see some breaking news that a maniac has escaped from a nearby mental institution, as they do. And golly, do I still love fake news reports in low-budget movies. And to be fair, this is actually one of the better ones I've seen. In fact, let's make it our first clip.
What's this?
I don't know. Some breaking news, I guess.
On Channel 6 News, 44-year-old Mark Peters has escaped from Friday mental institution for the criminally insane.
Oh my god.
This morning, Channel 6 received a report that Peters had escaped after murdering and disemboweling 2 staff members. Peter is likely armed and extremely dangerous. Do not approach him. Peters was last spotted near River Creek Park around 4 p.m.
River Creek?
Oh my god.
That's where we took the dogs
That sounds
for
familiar.
in the summer, yes.
Yeah, so me and my son was at the park and we were leaving the park, and I seen this person with this gown on and this mask. I think it was a Halloween mask.
This is insane. This is crazy. This is absolutely insane. You realize this is right down the street.
Wait, what are you doing?
I'm gonna put my jacket on and you're gonna come with me.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
No.
Scar, we have to.
No.
It's right down the road.
I don't care, it's freaking cold outside.
Come on.
That is your reason for not wanting to go? It's cold outside? I mean, fair and valid, Canadian winter and all, but crazed killer on the loose would be my first concern. And then the cold. The cold might even be the third or fourth concern on my list at this. Joey says the odds of the killer actually being out there are really slim, so let's just go see what we can see. And as much as I'm making fun of them for this decision, I would probably do the same thing. I'm no smarter than a person in a horror movie, I'll admit it. But since without her there wouldn't be much story otherwise, he convinces her thusly.
Joey, this is fucking stupid.
Listen, I know it sounds great. How do I look?
You look fine.
Okay, good. This could go viral.
Okay, we could also die.
That too, but it could also change our lives.
Sorry, I had to slip that in just for the nervous laughter. When they get to the state forest park place, whatever it is, and see that it's closed, Scarlett is all eager to get out of there, except Joey insists that if he's in there, we're gonna find him. Alright, first of all, you said he's probably not there, so why are you going to go looking? Maybe I am smarter than a person in a horror movie. But surprise, it doesn't take them long to find them because we have a story to tell here in a very limited amount of time. And most of the rest of this segment is just them running around screaming until he catches them and eats their faces. And that is not an exaggeration. I'll give the movie this. It's not a bad start to the film, even if it is very simple and straightforward. It works for the budget and isn't too annoying. Being short, the simplicity doesn't really work too much against it, although it is still a really basic story. After a quick check-in with the guy swapping tapes, we move on to the next story, featuring yet another couple. Hannah and Jonah are on their way to their respective colleges, getting set up, and they're going to keep in touch via phone calls and video chat and try to keep together that way. We start off with Jonah showing Hannah around the place with his camera phone, and he runs into his creepy roommate, who, for the most part, says nothing through this segment of the movie. and only stands there lurking creepily, staring, watching, waiting. You can also tell he's creepy because then you have the rumbling paranormal activity sound that plays every time he's around. The guy is normal, as in human, as far as we can tell and know from what we see in the short. So the sound doesn't really make much sense to me in the context of what we know about the story, but, oh well, you gotta sell the idea somehow, right? And pretty much that's the short. Dude talks to his girlfriend, weird roommate is... Dude talks to his girlfriend, weird roommate is weird. Invades personal space. Appears behind you when you move by. Stands and stares. A lot. This being very low budget, it does get very hilarious at times. Like, there's this one moment when Jonah's head is more or less center frame talking to his girlfriend, and at one point he moves to look off to the side or whatever to check on something, and you see the weird roommate standing in the doorway behind him, previously obscured by the head in the foreground. Hannah points this out, and as Jonah turns to see what she's talking about, his head gets back in the way of where the roommate was standing, and you can absolutely see the guy ducking down behind Jonah's head and crawling out of frames to hide behind the bed off to the side and out of sight. In a movie with a real budget and everything, this would be bad, but points for effort, and I love the can-do spirit of low-budget cinema in moments like this. As you've probably noted, I've been talking for a while in this segment, and that's because it's very visual horror, and that just doesn't give me a whole lot to work with for clips. After several weird encounters, Jonah gets a camera so he can set it up and keep an eye out for his roommate doing weird shit, which gives us another hilarious bit that has the roommate crawling across the floor towards the camera, slowly getting closer and closer every time it pans away and then back to him so he's a little bit closer each time, until the final time when the camera pans back and he's disappeared. That is, until he pops up right in front of the camera with a very loud roar. It's goofy, but I love it at the same time. Also, I'm pretty sure that's his only line of dialogue in this entire bit. This short comes to about as an abrupt ending as the previous one, when Hannah sees the roommate crouched next to her boyfriend and slits his neck. She calls the cops, and we watch as she gives them all the information they need, until there's a knock on the door and the roommate bursts in and kills her too. For what it is, there's actually some effective stuff in this segment, and there is some really nice editing done, most notably between an earlier scene that we see of Hannah and Jonah having a New Year's Eve kiss moment, which is sliced in with Hannah calling the cops in a nice sequence where it mixes in that with the countdown, which ends up being a countdown to her own death. So that wraps up, we swap tapes again, and we get to Gary in the next story. He's an older man whose wife has passed on. His son is giving him a camera so he can document stuff, to post online, connect with people, and just to give him something to do. His son also gives him the number of a Dr. Andrews, suggesting that his dad go to see her, to get on some antidepressants because he's not dealing too well with the passing of his wife, fair enough. Or, even just to have someone to talk to about his problem, which he does so in the next clip.
Hello, Dr. Andrews' office.
Yeah, can I speak to Dr. Andrews, please? Is she around?
Well, actually, it is me. I was just leaving for the day. Our office is closed, but can I help you with something?
Yeah. My name's Gary Logan, and my son gave me your number. I've been feeling down, and ever since I lost my beautiful wife, Susan, and he mentioned there's a new drug out called Xylopan.
Well, yes, I've had great success with the few patients that I've tried it on. It just came on the market. That drug is very expensive, though, and it has shown a few minor side effects.
Like side effects, like what?
Well, the usual. Headache, nausea, vomiting, hallucinations, body aches, fatigue. Nothing to worry about.
Do you think that drug may work out for me?
Oh, Mr. Logan, I think this is a perfect medication for you. I'll send it over to your pharmacy right away.
Okay.
Would an actual doctor diagnose a person with mental problems and prescribe drugs for the problem all over the phone? I don't think that would happen, but If anyone out there knows differently, feel free to rebut me. It seems a little hinky to me. Anyways, he tries the drugs, and whoops, all side effects. So he hears voices, he sees doors opening, stuff moves around that he doesn't remember doing. He orders a pizza and there's some dead mice on it. He thinks it's a prank and chases after the delivery person. And when he finally gets back, the rats are off the pizza. Consider yourself lucky, pal. Sometimes they'll take the pizza with them. And all of this stuff would be well and good in a regular movie. But he is literally recording every single event on a video camera. We see all these things happening. That is the entire point of found footage. He's not losing it. He's not losing his mind. He is actually experiencing this stuff, whether it be trickery by other people or supernatural forces. It is actually happening. We are seeing it. They're not figments of his imagination. Figments of your imagination do not show up on videotape, usually. We'll talk about that later. But figures it's all side effects, and he dumps the pills down the drain, which probably not the worst idea in the world anyways. Unfortunately, the laughter continues, and he eventually sees his dead wife, which causes him to trip down the stairs, break his neck, and miss the incoming call from the pharmacy in our next clip.
Hello, Mr. Logan. This is your local pharmacy calling with a reminder that your refill of the prescription Dilopan is now available for pickup. See you soon. See you soon. See you soon.
Well, that one just made no sense for this format. There's another tape swap, and they actually steal their own gag of having the guy in front of the camera get in real close to obscure your view, and when he moves back, you see some guy standing in the doorway, barely visible as the next story starts. This one starts with a guy waiting for a package, showing several shots of him constantly checking to see if it's there, and dude, most relatable moment in the film. And eventually it arrives, an old VCR so he can watch his VHS collection. When he opens the box, he also finds a bunch of videotapes. Bonus! And he notes that it looks like they're all blank. Which, almost every tape we're shown, the spool is wound at least some distance, which is evidence that they have at least been played. So there's something on at least those tapes. Like, that is the logical assumption to make with these things. Do you even know how VHS tapes work, bro? Once he uncovers the VCR underneath all the tapes, he makes the comment, "Who needs this many VHS tapes?" Dude, apparently you, since you showed us quite a few in your very own collection sitting on the shelves. So he gets the VCR set up, he pops in one of the tapes, and I shit you not, it's one of the segments from one of the VHS movies. His dad yells at him to do some chores, and then he meets up with a friend to hang out for far too much time at the mall talking about shit. He finally heads back home to check out more of the tapes that came with the VCR. And it is another segment from the VHS franchise. And another, and another, and another. Dude, stop reminding me of way better movies. Especially way better movies in the exact same format as yours. Also, I just want to pause here for a moment so we can appreciate the fact that we are watching a movie about a guy watching a VHS tape, which has a guy watching a VHS tape of a guy watching a VHS tape. I think I went down the right number of levels for that. Once he's gone through the entire series of VHS movies, his dad barges in the next clip.
Huh? What?
Didn't know this is more dishes!
Most of those dishes are yours anyway!
Now you done it.
Wait, stop! I'll do them! What are you... What?
If you're not gonna pull your weight around here, it's gonna happen to the rest of them.
Maybe I should make a tape of my own.
So yeah, his dad barges in, breaks one of the videotapes, threatens to do more of the same to the rest of them, and drives his son to be a killer. Wait, what? Because, sure, fine, whatever. As long as it gets you out of the house and not watching other better movies. Get a hobby. So now that he's a serial killer, we get a whole lot of silent people watching, while he tries to pick his victim. And eventually he comes home to find his dad watching TV. Because of his earlier actions, Dad gets a knife through the top of his skull, and the movie actually starts to devour its own tail as we circle back to the beginning of the film. revealing the star of this segment is in fact the guy who brought over their friend to watch a pile of videotapes. That tape ends, and we see the person, who had been watching the tapes, is now on the floor dead or soon to be, as the killer shows up to take a few more stabs to drive the point home, and the credits roll. Now, I've got some nitpicky flaws with this story, and there's a bit too much wandering around after several quick, tight stories, but it's also not the worst thing I've seen. Tying it all back to the beginning of the movie and thus the framing story itself, it works well enough as a conclusion to the whole thing. So I kind of gave you running thoughts as we went through each story, and just to kind of wrap this up, I've got a few problems with it overall, obviously, but for a low-budget movie that was made by someone who is clearly a film enthusiast, it's really not bad. I mean, yeah, you can go out and find some bigger budget, better versions of this same sort of thing, but there's a certain charm to this. And, I mean, yes, it's flawed, but don't judge it too harshly. It's some guy in their house with their friends having a good time making some short horror films. I kind of dig that. I'd watch more movies from Dallas Pomfrey. And hey, he's done a few. He's got several more on his YouTube channel. So I just might get my chance. In all honesty, it's worth checking out for a basic, low-budget, fairly well-executed for this level of thing, found footage flick. And that's going to wrap it up for this week. Hope to see you soon. I'm not going to do any big wrap-up house cleaning ending because that's all up in the air right now, thanks to Patreon. But if you do have any questions, comments, concerns, or just want to recommend a movie, you can always reach me all over the social networks or send an email to thebloodstreampodcast@gmail.com. So that was Cassette. That was The Bloodstream. I was Jason Gray. I do know what I'm going to do for the next episode. I just have to actually sit down and, do it. Until then, remember, you are going to come over and watch some movies this weekend, right?